Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Sketchcraft Sketches at Midnight, because that's when I only have time to draw. Joining with me tonight for a little bit is oh god, what's his name?
They go by so
Butterfinger.
many.
If you just waited 2 more seconds, that would have paid off. You know, you're ruining my timing, Brandon. Don't speak until I speak to you. All right? Until I directly
Oh,
acknowledge you. That's when you chime in. God, just ruining all the showmanship here, bro. Showmanship.
if only people could see the squirt bottle you squirt me with when I talk out of line.
Yeah. They actually, I was thinking I might get some negative feedback from the shit I gave you the other night on the fucking Game Cave stream, but no, people agreed, and I got some compliments.
Oh,
Yeah,
way to way
take
to
notes.
way to
That's
way to beat your
take notes.
modeler into
Get your ass
submission.
handed to you. So now now that I've gotten that out of the way, so how are you helping me tonight? What are you up to? Tell me, what are you doing?
Well, first off, I mean, my note taking does suck, and I realize that when I go to work on my CADs and T-shirt stuff, and I wrote something down. I'm like, well, what do I do? That makes no sense. So it's been a it's been a
Yeah,
fun
I tried to tell you, I took one
revisit.
look at your book, and I was like, that ain't gonna work. I sat right in here telling you, your notes suck, dude.
Well, I've never had to
Uh,
take notes, so that's what it's just.
no, 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 no. You went to high school. You had to take notes. You didn't. Or you were never taught how to take them properly. That's basically it. You probably fell into my category. See, for 2 years in high school, for some reason, I just thought the reason why I was failing was because I was dumb. You understand what I mean? Like, I'm just not as smart as everyone else. I guess I just don't know this. And I realized that I just wasn't actually learning things properly. I had to actually apply myself. So that's when I got graph paper out and I started learning how to take organized notes, dude. Graph paper. I'm telling you, bro. For $3, you can go down to Staples and get you one of these things. You understand what I'm saying?
Uh,
You see how organized you can keep your notes?
right.
See how this works? You don't have to come up with lines and shit. You keep everything the way you need to. See how that goes?
Yes.
Now, this is as crazy. I mean, look how crazy this is. This is organized. This is the next 2 years worth of prints. All right, that's what I do on my lunch. Uh, but for your case, I say you should type. You know.
Right. I have to sneeze.
So if everyone's wondering
Ugh.
what the hell it is I'm sketching tonight, I'm starting development on my next commission, my last commission from the Digibooks Kickstarter, and the guy got back to me, and it's Snake Eyes is what he's chosen.
From
So
G.I.
we're just
Joe?
warming up. Yeah, from G.I. Joe, which is why I'm drawing people like I'm actually drawing eyeballs, the one thing he doesn't have. Uh, as however that works out. Just sketching, warming up.
Right.
But it's interesting. He's actually a guy that bought a commission on the last summer on one of the power prints, and that I had thought was shipped out, but it's like, oops, guess you never got your stuff. So he was one that I was, whatever. So I got to finish that one up again. But I already have my layout, so I'll just redraw it. So we can do.
Which one was it?
It's this magic character, Drizzt, or whatever. So
Hmm.
I'm not getting too into that. Like I will just literally knock the shit out. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So right now I'm just warming up, randomly drawing whatever until I start to move into actual character. I like to just kind of loosen up and draw head shapes.
Did you like either G.I. Joe movie?
No, I like G.I. Joe Resolute, the animated cartoon, but the G.I. Joe movies were horrible, both of them.
Was that the newer cartoon or that the older one?
It was newer. It came around the same time as the first movie.
Oh, okay. I don't think I ever watched that. I think I saw it.
It's better than any of those DC movies. It has a similar look and vibe to it,
Uh
but
huh.
it's actually pretty good. No, not the GI Joe movie with the crowbar, la la la, not that shit. Serpentor. The only part about that movie that's good is the opening. Like they spent all their budget on the opening crawl.
Yeah, I remember when that came out, they got a bunch of shit for killing off, who was it, Duke? Was that the main guy? The
Sure,
main GI. Who's the main GI Joe guy? That everybody,
Duke.
the leader. Okay,
I gotta be honest with you, bro. I wasn't that into GI Joe. I liked the toys. I won't lie. You know,
right,
I like Snake Eyes. I like the ninja shit because I like swords.
right,
That's really the extent. I
right,
prefer to say Transformers if I had to pick, or Ghostbusters. Really, like
right.
Ghostbusters cartoon was really my fucking thing. You know, like you would never think me for the monsters type because I don't. You know what I mean? Like you look at me, you're like, no, but you know.
Right,
You surprisingly, the more you hang out with me, you see a lot of monsters in my work. Right? Like they're little creatures, little dudes, these fucking things. Like I love those that kind of shit. But I was never like the gothy, you know.
right.
Yeah. When I was a
I
kid,
never.
hmm?
Oh, go ahead.
It was like a Puppet Master, you know, that kind of shit. I like Critters, like the movie Critters, the crates.
Yeah, I never was a GI Joe. I had the toy Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, just because I like ninjas and swords. But I never knew anything about the characters or show or anything like that. Same with like Star Trek and stuff. I liked like a odd mix of stuff. Like sometimes it was gargoyles, sometimes it was street sharks, sometimes it was the first Power Rangers. But oh, you know who Dan Fraga is, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fragaboom.
Yeah, kind of cool today. I have one of my tattoos is based off a watercolor drawing he did that me and Jessica have, and he always liked it. But he was making shirts, and he had a one mess up, and he's like, "Yeah, does anybody want it? You know, real cheap, $25." And I was like, "Oh, I want it." So I emailed him. I was like, "Yeah, I want it." And he goes, "Oh yeah, you know," he's like, "You're the guy who got the tattoo. That's so awesome. I love it." And he's like, "It'd be really cool to meet up." And I'm like, "Yeah, you know, that'd be really cool." And he was just like telling me where he lives in California and stuff. But it was kind of funny. I was telling Jessica, I was like, "Yeah, he said he wanted to meet me." I was like, I felt it was kind of, I know, but it was kind of nice. I was like, "Yeah, oh man, that's cool." Because you don't ever, a lot of artists, they won't ever say like, "Yeah, it'd be cool to meet up." But that made my night. I'm just letting you know. And then I explained to
You
you,
want to piss him off in 2 seconds?
nope, no,
I want to pull a
I'd
dick
rather
move,
not.
and it's a dick move only he and about 30 people from 1994 would get.
What, from like the original studio? The
Yeah, just have him sign your copy of Troll. You get what I'm saying? Like,
hmm. I'd rather not piss him off.
you don't get it, right?
Is that's from the Extreme Studios or whatever, right?
Yeah, but he didn't draw it. Matsuda drew it. You understand what I mean? Like, I love Ju-On Troll. Like, it would be great
Right, just the
for you to
name
get the
dropped
wrong book.
the wrong book.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it'd be called Troll, and you're kind of you understand? Like, you have to think about this. Like, I told you, 30 people. Look, it would make me happy if you.
right. Well, since he seems so nice, I'd rather
You
not
know
be a
what I
dick to
really
him.
want for Christmas? It's only gonna work if it's the first thing you say to him.
Well, shit, I remember you wanted me to piss off Liefeld when I was at that one con, but I couldn't. He wasn't gonna talk to anybody. And then I think I forgot. I don't remember what it was, but You were like, yeah, go up to Liefeld and be like, blah, 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 blah.
Uh huh.
Whatever. Rob.
What?
I don't know.
Remember that time he created that guy that was just like Spawn because he was redrawing panels from Spawn? You don't remember that? It was
Mm,
that comic book, Black Flag. There was a
mm-mm.
character in there that was basically Spawn. He even like did the he had those Spawn hands,
Oh, you know, the
the
long
little circle
fingernails.
ones. Sure. I was like, how do you knock off the guys that you're currently? No, it's an homage, but you're selling that book right now. Like, well, McFarlane is. I mean, he wasn't. I mean, McFarlane couldn't have been too pissed about it because he drew the cover. He did that Black Flag cover.
That's funny.
Oh, the shit I know, right?
Mm,
I know. Get this new guy at work. I like him. He's a nice guy. I think though he's coasted on like sort of having general geek knowledge, but
mm,
not being around people that actually know the shit. You know,
right.
like today he brought in a poster. You gotta give him credit. He brought in a Killer Instinct poster, the fucking crossover between Warblade and Cyberforce and Wildcats, and it was from Comic Con, probably even the Image Con if I remember right, but it was definitely from Comic Con. And so I was like, yeah, that's the kind of shit they used to give at Comic Con. That's dope. He's like, yeah, there was like a series called like Killer Instinct. I'm like, no, that's from that Wizard ad you probably remember when she was in the green outfit, but it was multi-issue storyline. Wildcats 6, 7, I think maybe 8 even, but definitely 6 and 7 when they relaunched and whatever. And then he was like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, you remember the gatefold covers? Like, issue 6 had like 3 gatefold covers, dude, in Wildcats. Like, it was, it's misery. Like, never mind. I'm not gonna do it. uh,
Pulled a Rob move today when I was talking to my wife. That was kind of funny. I was talking to her about Dan Fraga, and then I mentioned the Ricky. I always butcher his last name. Gervais.
Gervais.
Gervais. Yeah. And I was like, you know who that is, right? And she said, yeah, but I knew she didn't know, and I did, and without even
Not
thinking about
good
it,
to do these on your spouses, bro. I'm just saying.
right,
Like, this is how I
without
get
thinking about it, I go, do you? Do you? Like you did to me fucking before, and I was like,
Yeah,
ah,
but
shit.
you know what I mean? Like, you gotta be careful about doing that shit to people you live with.
Yeah, she didn't get mad. She just said, no, I don't. And I'm like,
I
all
didn't get
right,
mad
cool.
the
Here, I'll just show
first
you.
time. You know? The first time, I might add.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I found out inadvertently that it was really weird how it came across, and like I will not tell because my art director doesn't listen to shit. I won't tell him. I don't have the heart to. It'll come out eventually. But we were talking about the Star Wars movies, and he's like, "Yeah, I didn't know because Disney, and I'm like, well, it's Kathleen Kennedy's running Lucasfilm in the way that Kevin Feige runs Marvel. Disney writes the checks, but you know what I mean, like."
Right.
And
If
then
there's
like, what
really
else do you
someone
want? He's like,
who's
well, I don't really like the Marvel movies. I'm like, all right, well, you know what I mean? Like, well, I'm like, well, why? I'm like, he's like, well, I don't like when they change characters. You know what I mean? Like, the characters are, they change the looks and the relationships, and I'm like, yeah, but, I mean, which relationships? You know what I mean? Which looks, right? Because, like, that changes from issue to issue. And, I mean, Thor once had a ponytail. I don't know. So, I'm like, yeah, well, like Sherlock Holmes, changes throughout, interpretation. And I'm like, he's like, yeah, I don't like that. I'm like, you don't like the Sherlock, or you don't like Sherlock Holmes? He's like, I don't like Sherlock Holmes. I'm like the character? He's like, nah, I don't like any of that stuff. I'm like, that's crazy. I'm like, you don't like I'm like, all right, well, you like Batman, right? He's like, nah, I don't like Batman. I'm like, you don't like Batman? I'm like, oh, we gotta stop talking. Like I'm gonna make an enemy out of this guy 2 days in. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like I just through selective pro. You know what I mean? Like it's funny how I'm able to. They gotta. I should have been like an interrogator. You know what I mean? Like I should have. Because that way, if you piss people off, it's okay. And I could see he was definitely uncomfortable. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm
Right.
sorry that you don't like Batman. And he's like, I'm not sorry. You don't have to be sorry. I'm like, well, no, I'm sorry because when he finds that when he thinks I said that dickishly that he couldn't somehow enjoy it, but what I really meant to say was I'm sorry because when people in this office find out, you're gonna have a hard time.
Right.
That's what I meant to say.
I don't think I've ever met anyone who doesn't like Batman in some form.
Well, there you go.
That's it makes like why not? It just did he give a reason?
I stopped the conversation for my own protection. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
I saw me being the loser. Like I just instantly got like 4 moves ahead in this. You know what I mean? Like I just saw where this was going. Just stop the conversation. He brought a Killer Instinct poster. I should let him have that win today. I figure it'll come out eventually. Or I'll save it for the day when I'm told that he's a better employee than me, and then I'll go, really? Should ask him about Batman. Uh, like I
Yeah.
have that now. That's a thing I have.
Uh,
And I like the guy. He's a cool dude. But, like I just say it because like the other day he was like, "Yeah, I'm a movie buff." I'm like, "All right, awesome, dude." What about this movie? He's like, "I didn't see that." I'm like, "What about this movie?" Then I'm like, "Well, what were your favorite movies this year?" And he's like, "I like this, sniper movie." I'm like, "All right." I'm like, "What else?" You know what I mean?
right.
I don't really have any favorites. How can you be a movie buff and not have any favorites? Or you're a fan of like shit you watched when you were stuck watching Cinemax when you were 12. You know what I mean? That's what I
Right.
think. Like you'll probably say you loved Ghostbusters and shit like that. You know? Like a movie buff isn't someone that likes Ghostbusters. Like you could, God, for all I know, you watched fucking every season of Community, and now you think you have the knowledge of 80s, 90s movie trivia. You know what I mean? Like a movie buff is someone to me who's like, I don't know, dude. Like respects the fucking cinematography of like the French Connection or some shit. I don't, you know what I mean? Like can be like, I really like, I don't know. Let's talk about actual films beyond just John Carpenter and.
I don't know. I have this one friend who just won't put any movie above The Raid. I mean, he just loves The Raid.
First off, The Raid is fucking God's gift to fucking cinema. Yeah. Matter of fact, I do. When people tell me, "Oh, fucking, I love the mud fight in Batman Begins," I'm like, "Yeah, that was kind of fun." Have you seen The Raid too? The Raid takes every action sequence I've ever seen, puts them all in one movie, and bests them. I mean, it really, and the Raid 2 kicks the shit out of the Raid 1. Like, it just tops the Raid 1.
I love that if I just say The Raid, you'll just go
Yeah.
off about it.
You haven't seen it yet, though, have you? You know who else used to clown me on this? Was Mike. Mike clowned me on it. Until last week, I get a text. Dude, the Raid.
Oh, I'm
And then
not saying it's
I
bad.
get a thank you for telling me about this movie.
No, I'm sure it's
Thank you,
badass.
my life. Thank you for my life. Thank you for letting me know that this exists.
I saw the Dread movie. I've seen it. Then basically,
No, no, no.
it's Dread with kung fu.
Bro, bro, don't even go there. It came out before the Dread. The Dread film.
I
Matter of
know.
fact, Assault on Precinct 13 came out before Dread.
I'm
In
just
fact, we
saying.
can go all the way back. What?
I just said it because I know you'd get mad about it.
I'm not mad. Just because you know what? I can't wait to go text Dan Fraga about you.
You're a dick.
You know that guy that you love so much?
Hmm.
Here's what he really thinks about Youngblood. Ready?
Not funny, Rob. I mean, a little bit, but
Don't know how bulky I should make this dude. Sometimes when I'm just sketching, I like to try different, yeah. So you want to get the face shapes down, like how you want to. It's not a hard character. It's just choosing which way to go.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, I fucking like Batman. Could just see he was in an argument he can't win, and it was like real. I was just like, somehow I'm gonna lose. You know, I'm gonna lose this. That's my favorite move though. Like when I want to like be a little dickish, sometimes I'll just say, "Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, you didn't enjoy that." I'm sorry, dude. Like, we live in fucking 2015. This guy's like old school shirt, dude. So it's like, I'm sorry, but we live in a licensed universe. These guys all used to have their brands, and they're used to like these, they're like street artists. Street artists who they're in the street art cliques. You know, I think he's just used to being that guy, and he wants to like, oh, do you know about this and that? Yep. You know about this? Yep. Do you do this? No, I don't do that. You go on this site? You sell them designed by humans? No, I don't sell them design. I do Kickstarters. Well, what's Kickstarter? I'm like, yeah, exactly. So, like, it's like I don't need your help. You know? He's like, I love games, video games. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. So we're talking about like, I was like, yeah, dude, no, 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 yeah, I brought we're talking about the TV that's in there. I'm like, yeah, I brought my Wii U. He's like, the what? I'm like, the Wii U? And he's like a Wii, right? I'm like, no, the Wii U. I never heard of that. I'm like, okay. I'm, don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know what
Yeah.
to say about that. Like, you just told me you didn't like Batman. You don't know what the Wii U is. Like, I mean, do you even go to Target? You know what I mean? Like, do you even like just walk into a store? That's fucking horrible right there.
Yeah.
No, no, this shape is fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bad shape.
It's like when people go on like the Hell's Kitchen or something. They're like, yeah, I'm a great cook, and then they like open up a jar of spaghetti sauce instead of making their own. They're like, oh, I
Or
didn't know
so
you
like
could do that.
someone named Cutter calls it an artisan pizza
Yeah. I
to
don't know.
the
Just
Italian guy. I don't know, it's an artisan pizza. And he was like, artisan? He's like, yeah, artisan. It's always that way on the pizza box when I buy it. It says artisan. I mean, the guy knows his stuff when it comes to shirts, but I'd ixnay on the Batman's A, hates A if I was him. You'll find out. And there was a part of me that wanted to say something today because they were talking about how Jim Lee and fucking Jim Lee's the man, no, 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 and I totally agree. But I want to be like, yeah, like on Batman, it's Batman's dope. Like, just go there. Like,
right. This Batman work's probably his best work ever.
right? Like,
Just
and I'll be honest, it really changed his career because what people don't know is around 2000, 2001, when I first came back from the army, I went to Comic Con, and Artist Alley was on the opposite side of the con, so it was on the left, facing kind of south or whatever. And Jim was over there at those, those like long panels. So have you ever
Mm-hmm.
seen that? That is long panel thing. So he's over there drawing, and nobody was like paying attention to him. They were like, "Oh, who are you?" And some kids were trying to get him to draw like anime, and they're like, "Dude, why are your faces so small? The eyes aren't right." Like, I was like, "Poor Jim, dude." Like, this is the guy when he used to come to con. Like, people were just like he was like Michael Jackson, like
Right.
swarmed by people. I was like, "Dude, he needs to get out of this running a business shit." I was like, you know? I mean, literally, there was nobody there for Jim Lee. You know what I mean? Nothing. And kids were clowning him. So, dude pulled a Hail Mary, you know?
Now he's running that shit.
Yeah. He's the reason why I can still draw things like comics over at DC, you know? But I don't want no trouble with no artists, dude, so I'm making friends. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I don't want no trouble, dude. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Guy doesn't like Batman, that's his business. Sure
Well, shit. When I get there, you won't hear a peep out of me.
you will, because I'll make you talk. Like, hey, what's up?
I'm at like as far as making noise, slamming my pencil on my desk, and
Oh, no, there's none of that shit.
right.
That
You know what I
No,
mean.
this guy isn't like that. He'll do fine, dude. But
I'm saying I'm not. I'm gonna make it a point not to
he doesn't act like a
be
fucking crazy
Brandon.
person. Like last homeboy.
You can't make me talk.
Well, if I ask you a question and you just sit there not answering me, then you just look fucking crazy. So I think I can.
I think I might do that. First question, I just sit there.
You know, I would at least give it 90 days before you start pulling
Oh,
like
I won't. I won't do
friendship
shit.
shit. You know what I mean?
No, I won't.
I would not play friendship shit at work. It's my advice to you.
Well, that's why I said I'm not gonna really. I'm just gonna.
Unless you enjoy driving back and forth from California to Arizona every fucking 30 days.
Uh, you put it in good perspective. If I get fired, well, it was a good story.
Right? It'll be that. Remember that time? Ha ha.
That time I didn't know how to make CADs, and I got fired.
That was fun. Good times, good times.
Hey man, I'm a 3D modeler now. I don't need that shit.
Well, let's just not get too carried away here. You know, it's not like that model's texturable. Like I mean, big seams and shit all over the fucking place. I mean, it's fine for my purposes, but
Right. I was. That
we're
was.
gonna
I
have
was.
to block in time every at least once a month for you to go through and start doing those tutorials again. And I want to see like the actual models and shit, where you rebuild the shit from scratch.
No.
And there's other tutorials like I'll get on digital tutors and give you fucking shit to do, like build this shit, build that, build this. So you can start building pieces that are actually usable for animation, which is what we have to move toward anyway.
Yeah.
There's no yeah, that's it. This is your future, bro. You had your shot at trying to be a full-time artist. It's not gonna happen. I'm giving you a chance to be creative. This, or you're moving furniture your fucking life. Good luck. You know? Sorry, dude. The way it is. There are worse ways. Yeah.
Okay. I like the skinny one.
I know you do. You like your dude skinny.
I do. I
You
do.
already talked about that.
Nice and toned.
I just also try to remember sometimes, Brandon, these people spend a lot of money. Alright? So giving them like a really thin dude, with a lot of negative space for a commission. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You want to be like, I could pull the dick move, like someone want a Hellboy commission, and just be like, and then just giant rocks. Yeah, there's your Hellboy commission. It's a
I
big
give you a
rock.
give you a quarter for it.
Yeah, plus shipping and handling.
I'm gonna see you in like 2 weeks.
I don't even think I'm gonna be there the week you first get there.
I do some shit. I get fired before you even come back.
But yeah, right. Like I think if you think about it, you could theoretically get fired before I even get there. Like, oh, well, that solved itself. Like I never even see you. So how did it go? They got fired. Yeah, that's what I figured.
Uh,
Yeah. And that whole month I told you to practice and you didn't. Yeah. Well, there you go.
that would suck. That would suck. Uh, do you do this with all your commissions, like a like a warm-up page.
Yeah, I normally never show this stuff because I don't like feedback and shit
Hmm.
while I'm deciding which way to go. But yeah, there's always a warm-up page where I just sort of, it's for me, you know what I mean? It's not
Hmm.
like I have to be tied to any particular direction or, you know, proportion or. It's like if it could somehow just. I mean, it's gotten more fun since I started doing the red with pen sketching,
Uh-huh.
you know? Because, but I don't know. I mean, sometimes the pencils are nice too, you know?
Where the the final uh, sound clip for the
Hey, this is nice. Someone's printing my fucking saucy Captain America onto a t-shirt. Creative image designs. Yep, they have a Facebook page. I'm sure they'll ban me.
this is the one with all these dog pictures.
I'm posting a link on my front page.
Uh, where on the audio file for what I'm working on, uh, what did you save the exact name as? Because for some reason I can't find it right now.
It's Sketchcraft Show Rev 6, dude.
Where the
See, I
fuck?
knew you didn't fucking. I just knew it. I knew when I first asked you that you had that file from the first download that you didn't have the files. Because when you download shit, you don't put it in your fucking folders, right? You just
No, I.
download it and let it sit wherever.
Do you want me to answer, or you just want to keep?
No, go ahead.
No, I have the Rev 4
No, it's Rev 6.
right, and I think that's the last one you sent me was the Rev 4. That's why I
No,
thought I
no, no,
had
no,
the
no. I
right
said
one.
it was in the rare file um, with the initial PSD for the files before I added the pixel backgrounds, and it
Okay,
was
so
with the bad animation.
right, so I have because I have all the I have that giant art file you sent me.
I sent that art file to you twice, Brandon. Sent it to you once that morning, and then I
Right.
sent it to you again with the pixel backgrounds. The one in the morning had all the files that you needed in there.
Okay. Then I'm sure I have that because I have from when you sent me. I'm just going. I have After Effects open, and I've been working with all the different images and stuff, and I hadn't dropped the audio and started syncing stuff and trying to go with it. Just getting back in the habit of using After Effects. So I was
I'm
trying to
not
find
talking
it.
about After Effects. I'm talking about when you download a file and save all your stuff.
Right. I was saving stuff to my desktop because I had so
Don't
much stuff.
save to your desktop.
Right. And now that I'm done modeling, I'm going to clean all this up. Just make sure I'm organized. That's why I asked. I figured it's best to ask.
It's best to ask, but it's also best not to ask the same fucking thing over and over again, so we don't have the same conversations, right?
That right. That's why I'm going to go through my stuff, double check that I have everything that I need, and if I don't, I'll tell you. And then
You can sit there and act like I go off on stuff, but I only go off when you're like making the same mistakes twice, dude. You know? Or when I asked you, do you have it? You say things like yes, and then you ask me 3 days later, what was it? What was it again? You told me you had it. Because if
right.
you didn't have it, I would have just sent it that night.
The only thing I was confused about, since we're on Google Chat, that's always fun, is that the last file you sent me was all the art, but the first one you sent me that had the audio in it as well, correct?
It had the audio and the bat animation and the initial art file, yes.
Okay, so it had that's what I was asking, that it had the actual the sound clip, because I have that new one open up, and it's got the whole giant art file. So I was just looking to see.
Bro, the file that I sent you the first time had all that art in there. It's the same art. The only difference in the art is the backgrounds now have the pixels. That's the
Okay,
only difference.
okay,
You scare me when you start talking about things you don't actually have, dude. You know what I mean? Which makes me wonder, did you actually look at the file? Or is this just some casual glance thing you barely remember? What I'm trying to say, Brandon, is like
hmm
you've only been dependent one time on your rent being paid by freelance, and that was with that stuff you were doing with the motion comics, right?
right.
And remember when you turned your shit in wrong and like, we're not taking this, you got to figure this shit out? I'm trying to save you that problem. You understand what I mean? No one kicks my shit back to me, dude, and I miss out a paycheck because of this stuff. You know what I mean? So when people ask you things like, "Do you have this?" It's okay to say, "You know what? I actually didn't look at that." You know what I mean? What's gonna drive an art director crazy is when you say yes and then a day later you go, "Well, okay." Don't even think out loud. Just go, I'm uncertain. I need to check it. And then they go, well, yeah, you should probably be checking it. Whatever. But that's what's going to drive people nuts. Do you see what I'm saying?
All right.
And I'm not personally, I could care the fuck less. I just resend you the file. But I'm trying to eliminate this shit from your repertoire, dude. You
All
understand
right.
what I mean?
Uh huh.
I could care less. I just resend it. You know? You don't have it? Fine. But do tell me if you don't remember. And then a day later, because sometimes I don't get to immediately downloading something. And you go, oh, did you get that? I'm like, no. Does it say I downloaded it? I did not download it yet. You know? So I just have to be honest with people because I used to do it. You know how much trouble I got myself in with Dave by saying, oh, I totally did something when I didn't? You know what I mean? Then when I look at it, it's all fucked up. I'm like, yeah, actually, that thing I said I looked at, he's like, well, you could have told me. Now we miss ship dates because of that stuff. And then you're like, that's a $40,000 problem I just created. You know what I mean?
All right.
If I had just learned, this is the stuff they don't teach at art schools. And I make a big deal out of it because, Brandon, I wanted to kill myself over it once. And I don't want you or anyone else to go through that pain. See what I mean?
Uh huh.
So, yeah, I might get a little passionate about it, and you might go, it's no big deal. But there's going to be a day you're going to go, I'm really glad Rob fucking freaked out on me about that shit.
I have it. I just never extracted the stuff from it because
Right.
later that day you sent me the second one.
No, I sent you the second one in the middle of the night. It took me
Okay.
all night to fix that shit. I sent you the first one early that morning, the next one later that night, after I showed you the art files.
All right.
Remember? And I let you tell me what you thought about it. Right?
Uh huh. Oop.
Told you can make mistakes, but you can't make the same ones twice, dude.
Well, I have a question. The show is 7 minutes and 46 seconds long, correct?
It's how long?
7 minutes and 47 seconds
Yeah,
or
the
46
shortest
seconds.
version. Yeah.
Okay. All right, then I have it.
Vance has a question. I want to learn how to draw from his imagination. Brandon, do you have any tips from drawing from imagination? What would be the first advice you'd give?
Don't look at something else. Uh,
Come on, Brandon. What's the first advice we always give?
I don't know, man.
Come on. You can't go around telling people you're my fucking protege. You don't even know this
oh,
shit.
I won't claim that,
Yeah,
but
don't use that terminology again.
well,
You're setting
well, I
me.
didn't do.
You're
Well, I
throwing
didn't
me under a
say.
bus. Like,
Yeah,
that's
I
me.
didn't
You
say
hear
it
that?
seriously. I said it when I
That's my
got.
credibility.
I said it when I got called the other guy. They're like, "Oh yeah, you're the other
Like
guy."
Blank Man. Have you seen Blank Man, by the way?
Yes, with
Yeah,
Eddie.
right?
That's with Eddie Murphy, right? No, not Eddie Murphy.
Oh
Hold
shit! You
on.
went there.
It's there. It's that was he. That was when he was in the Green Suit. He was Metro Man or
Do
whatever it
they all
was.
look alike, Brandon? Like,
No,
do all
it was
comedians?
it was way it was the way one of the Wayans brothers, right?
Yeah.
Okay. He's got the red and the white
Eddie
suit. Or whatever.
Murphy. Uh,
My
so
first time,
Damon Wayans, dude, and
right?
yeah, David Allen Greer.
Yeah, but the first time I was thinking of what was it,
You
Metro
just
Man?
embarrassed yourself.
I'm
Uh,
not embarrassed.
oh, you are. You are.
No, I'll own it.
Someday we'll be there, and there'll be Damon Wayans. Anyway, let's get back to the conversation, man. So, you want to learn to draw from imagination, right? We want to talk about perspective and construction, right? You want to talk about that?
I don't know it.
Let's say you wanted to draw a ship or something, anything from your imagination, you know? The thing isn't to see this as a circle. The thing to see this is as a three-dimensional surface that exists three-dimensionally so that you can then, build on top of that, so forth and so forth. And the reason why it's important to see that way is that you can start to rely on like construction shapes and everything. Like noses aren't how I draw noses, like some weird squiggle mark that kind of makes sense, and I hope the colorist fixes it. Yes, it's so that you can actually start to develop different types of nose shapes, like the John Romita Jr. Punisher nose shape, right? Or maybe the kind of like the
Do a
Joker nose
do
shape.
a do a Joe Mad nose
Which way? Like if it was stared on,
from the side or from the side.
because if it's from the front, it's like right, like but if it's from the
Yeah,
side, it depends on what era. But
or it usually has that big bridge at the top.
yeah, so it's been a while, but whatever. You know, I'd say learn construction, learn fundamentals, perspective. Take a toy, take a statue of like an Ninja Turtle and break it down three-dimensionally. And I would say actually use SketchUp or a 3D program to start building things in 3D and learning how to like start thinking three-dimensionally. It's really the biggest shortcut, like modeling things and then taking those things out and redrawing over them or building over them. Stupid asses. Like I personally prefer to enjoy drawing from like silhouette and shit. But sketching like this is really just good for the soul. I was never that guy like who drew all like perfect and every little thing was perfect and like that dude.
Man, that side is just janking all kind of people's art.
Yeah, you seen it, right?
Hmm.
Make him all Scotty Young thing and shit. Like before he turned into like Tim Burton.
Like New Warrior days and Spider Clan.
Right. Dude didn't know how popular I'd be on Facebook. Stupid asses. Should go on there, jump on that thread, dude. Gotta hijack his fucking site.
Oh, on the
This is one of my illustrations. Stop using it for your shirts. I'm not the only one, dude.
yeah, I saw it on the some guy named Lord Mesa or something.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Can I do? Can't spend my whole night chasing down art thieves. Oh, I hate drawing with things next to my hand. So walk me through the process. How are you gonna tear apart this file and get everything working? What's your plan of action?
Uh, just I kind of I don't ever have a plan of attack when I do stuff for you. I kind of I struggle with it for like a day, and then I just start trying to piece things together like I'm just like I would build something at work, and then start fixing whatever I mess up.
Yeah, that's not a good way to work.
I don't know, man. I'll lay down this like I would. I'd lay down the sound. I start laying down the files. I'd put them in places I think they need to go exactly, and then I'll start making the times exact and make sure that they go from scene to scene and look good. Uh, my mindset. I haven't used After Effects in what 3 months, 2 months, 3 months. So
Two
it's
months.
like getting
2 months.
All right, so getting back into it, which I only used it once, before with it. So I don't know. Would you like to tell me what a plan attack I should have? Because
No, I can see that you obviously don't think about it. I'm just thinking, dude. Like, okay, you have a file full of fucking poses. What do? You extract the individual pieces? Dude, what do you do? You know what I mean? Like, how are you gonna
no, I loaded. I
Yeah,
loaded.
like I'm telling you, don't no, hold on now. I get to talk. I let you talk, right?
Okay.
So when I say what's your plan of attack, and then you say what would I do, and I start making sense, you go, oh yeah, well I totally do that. Then you know what I mean? Like, come on, that's what I'm just talking about. Like, what's your methodology for like what
Oh,
you think it's gonna
all right.
like look like? I don't know what what were you thinking before I rip into your before you fix this? I just want to know like what did you think I meant?
I don't know. Every time you want me to explain something, I feel like I gotta have some grand, well-spoken gesture of a thing. I make sure I have all the files are loaded in. Then I start looking at
But
how
how
it
would
needs.
you load it up? Like, I'm just curious. Like, are you extracting each thing individually and making different I folders? Are you doing it by just straight like merge poses and making that a pose thing? Like, I mean, you're not. Are you? I assume that this is assuming that you're creating the characters' poses in After Effects, or are you just merging what I did as a pose? I mean, how are you doing it?
No, I load up all the different, all the stuff, all the faces, arms, etc. And then I'm gonna listen to it, figure out what. I'll probably take notes on what pose expression I want there. I'll go to it on the side. I'll plug it in, the face, the head, the arms, and what fits, and then I'll go to the next. That's that's how I
Man, you're like
envision
absolutely
doing it.
horrible at talking about like how you do things.
Because like you say things because you know what you're doing, so you just say it so
No, I
easy and
don't. I
like
just simply explain what I think I'm going to do. Like, and if I go,
because
man, I have. Here's the thing, right? And this just shows that you're just green. You're like when someone looks at you while you're drawing, you freak out. They're looking at me,
no,
right?
I draw
No.
cons.
Oh no, don't start. I'm not talking about cons. I watched you at your first few cons, okay? Like you don't. Yeah, I remember you stressing. All right, I specifically remember the first time. So don't act like I don't know what I'm talking about.
Because I feel like if I don't give you the right answer, I'll get this. So it's like I'm trying to choose what I say carefully instead of just
Well, then what you
saying
do is
it.
first you say, okay, so do you want to know how I'm going to pull apart the file or how I'm going to time it to the animation? Like, get specific. What do you specifically want to know about? And I would say, all right, like, how are you going to pull apart the file? Are you going to take apart all the eyes and then in After Effects, you're going to have all the eyes individually, so you turn them on and off and link them? You know what I mean? Or are you going to take the poses out of Photoshop and so that they're really just each character is already made, but then you can't make them blink, right? Like
Right.
I don't understand this process, like how you're gonna do it. I'm curious, and then you get all fucking confrontational and shit.
It's not
Like I'm
complicated.
actually
It's
interested, and you're
nervous.
like, I don't know, I just do stuff and then change it. Like I'm like, yeah, that's fucking interesting. Why don't you? I really wish you actually did your own podcast that time, because that would have been my favorite podcast in all of the world. I think.
As long as you subscribe to it, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I would say one subscriber. Yeah.
I hope I have a heart attack tonight. Just give me a heart. Just give me a heart attack.
That's just time
Heart
in, dude.
attack.
You just keep going. You just keep doing what you're doing.
Just give me a heart attack. Just one. Just give me one.
I'm giving you plenty of
I pr-
compliments. I said you did
I
a
know.
fantastic job on the fucking. You like this Scotty on the brittle like that.
Hold on. I'm in After Effects. Hold on.
I don't think he'll like that, but it's fun to draw,
The
right? Yeah.
the 1 inch ankles.
Yeah.
I mean,
And once you draw it in pen, you can't take it back. So just got to
That's
go.
how Scott Campbell's been drawing his man lately.
Let's
With
not even
the
get started. Let's not go there. Let's get back to your process.
so I'd probably I don't I just
Now, how are
Frustrate.
you doing? Have you started to pull apart the file yet? Are you just like looking at it?
I've been looking at it last night. I loaded up and everything, and I was just also getting reacquainted with using After Effects because I just wasn't in that mindset. And so
Right.
I loaded everything up. It's all in here in all the different layers and pieces. And I figured I'll start listening to it, making little side notes of reactions. Then I'll do, let's say, I forgot your character's name. I know,
Mince.
Mence.
Well, he's called Rob, but for this
Right.
episode, but his name is Mince.
So then I think I would start building up him because he'll have his, obviously they all have their own little timeline, and then I'd work on the other character, or I might do them both at the same time. But I figure, hold on, excuse me. I figure if I focus on one character and just kind of build him up first, and then go
Yeah,
back.
that's a smart way to do it. You don't have to. I wouldn't focus on both at the same time. Like make one the lead character, and then the other one reacts to that character.
Right. So I just figured since your character is for lack of better terms, the host, the main guy, I was gonna make sure I have his reactions very prominent, and then also Bacon, because he reacts to what you say when you guys
Wesley.
are talking, anyways.
Wesley.
Or Wesley, sorry. Uh, so then I could just feed off that. So I just didn't want to try to do your face and then go down to another line and then do his face, then go back and do his face, and then because then I'm going to be sitting there. I'm going to have to be searching through this stuff and looking for the right one back and forth if I just stick to maybe one person in a row and then go and do that and then make sure everything links up and syncs up with the timing, then I'll be okay.
And you're animating the eyes independent and all that stuff.
Right.
Then mouth, they're all independent. And what are you going to use, like the file I gave you as reference for those poses? Because you're not supposed to make a bunch of new poses. First, you got to be able to do all the poses I gave them. I don't want you inventing new poses first. You see what I mean?
Uh-huh.
You catch my drift?
Yes. Don't spend.
That would drive an art director mad if you made all these pre-made poses and reference and you didn't use any of them. You just started making your own, and then you were taking forever, right?
Oh, I'm not making anything
Okay.
other than what you have.
I mean, you build off on top if you have an idea for something, right?
Right.
Or if we say, wouldn't it be cool this, then I can go, okay, cool, I can add this, or
Right.
Right. It's not hard to talk about how you're gonna do things, dude.
Uh-huh.
And don't look. Don't want to. Don't. You just have to do stuff and turn it in, change it.
So well, since you're on such a good mood of telling me how I suck, I might as well ask you a dumb question.
Sure.
Might as well. So, deleting the threshold deletes. Like remember we did that Santa Spider-Man shirt and it had the white border around it. Now my notes suck, so I'm just going back and looking at them. Was that the threshold that I deleted, or is that something different?
I did not hear anything you just said.
Okay, I'll say it
See
better.
how I just calmly answered that I wasn't paying attention?
Yes. The Spider-Man Christmas shirt that you had me work on as practice. What is when I need to delete that white outline?
That's not a threshold.
Correct. Okay. So
that's line layers.
The line layers. See, that's the part that I don't think I took good notes on, and it was bugging me yesterday when I was practicing.
Thresholding is when you want to get turns. You want 0 halftones in your art. You want it to be pure black and white, which means it's going to get really like rasterized. you
Uh-huh.
know. But it's great for like taking color photos and trapping certain things and then turning them into like black and white. You go to Hot Topic and you see like a color photo look all black and white on a shirt
Uh-huh.
because they did threshold and it gives you that kind of like rock feel, And you usually got to do it in parts and like mask them in and shit. Or if you wanted to zero out, like when I do the splatters, and I want the splatters to be super hard, no softies,
Uh-huh.
I make them a new layer, flatten them against white, threshold, and then do the line layers so they have transparent backgrounds again. Then I use those as textures. You understand now?
Yes. I think the only thing that I just don't know how you did was because my normal way, which I did in front of you that you told me never to do again, was I would take the magic wand tool, I would
No,
select the white, but that doesn't delete everything of it. And I
no, and
remember
it
you
doesn't
telling me
travel
that.
the lines. Yeah,
Right.
no, you don't. That's not how you do that.
But I forgot.
And that explains why your fucking files were dicked up when you used to ask me to color your stuff.
Right. And now I forgot what I was supposed to do to get rid of that white. And I
It's
can't
called
find
line
it in my
layers.
notes.
The line layer is action. I gave you the actions.
Okay.
That's why I loaded my actions in and just use them.
Okay.
That's why they call this shit concept art, because it's a concept. I wish I was good enough for con sketching. Just not. Just not good enough for a con sketch.
It's been a fun conversation.
Yeah, it's always fun. You get so fucking testy, dude, when I start asking you about how you do stuff. And I told people today because I remember I ripped into you a couple weeks ago when I said something like, "What did you say?" Oh, you replied to, "Do you want to know what I hate about something that I drew? You know what I hate about this?" And I ripped into you. I'm like, you got to learn how to fucking talk to artists, dude. Like, do you think that all sounds
No, wait,
fun?
wait, wait. I think you asked my opinion.
Yeah, but you said, you know what I hate about this? And I'm like, you
I don't
can't
think I.
start that way, bro.
I'm
You
gonna.
did.
I'm gonna go back and listen to it.
You
I think.
did.
I think I was nicer than.
You can't talk to people like that,
See, you're
Brandon.
making it sound like I'm like, hey, Rob, this fucking shit
No,
sucks.
you're. It's even worse, right? Because you're ignorantly saying it. Like it's like a joke. Like you can't do it. Because look how testy you get when I'm like, how'd you do something? What are you thinking about doing? You're like, I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm doing. You know?
I'm gonna go
Like you
back
could
and listen to it
you could go on stage and get creamed by people, but you can't just talk about how you think you might do something. Like, come on, man. Fuck out of here with that.
because I'm gonna give you a compliment here. It's because I respect your opinion, Rob, and I don't
But I
care
haven't
what
given you an
random
opinion.
people
I
think
was
of me.
interested in what you're gonna do. I'm interested in something you're doing, and I gotta be like one of two people on this planet who give a fuck about shit you do. So
I
like,
got nervous. I got
so when you
nervous.
pissed off 50% of your audience,
Uh,
the other one's sitting in one room away, bro. There you go. Like that's all you got right now. Like,
got my dog.
huh? Well,
I'm with- as long as I feed her, she likes me.
you know, I'm just curious, and then you get all fucking, I don't know, and you do know, you do have an idea,
I don't think I said.
but no,
You know what I
no
hate
one has
about
ever
this?
asked you, I think, before you started working for me, How would you do this? What would you? No one has paid you any interest. Do you
No
catch
one's
my
ever,
drift?
yeah, no one's ever asked me
So you
their
just
opinion and
have
wanted to
no
know.
fucking clue on how to like talk to people from that perspective. You still talk to people as if you were fans or, in that little like high school art clique where you're all like having drinks and talking shit, you know? But when you actually get into like what your process would be, even if your process is, what, man, I'm sort of working this out as I go. I think what I might do is just start, I'm going to look at, you know, tearing this file down. I'm gonna get these fucking pieces. But I guess I'm gonna take these eyes. I'm gonna build one character up so they have their bank of stuff that I can easily turn shit on and off or drag. Cause I don't know. Do you drag the? Cause look, this is where like After Effects to this day, I've been like, I opened up After Effects in 1990 fucking nine. You understand what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like when it was new. And I was like, the minute you incorporate time, you know what I mean? Like time fucks with my head on any level, which is crazy because I can animate. You know what I mean? But I
Right.
could never read an X sheet. To this day, I
Well,
can't read when there's like an X and there's all these like frames and on this frame and then on this frame and this frame. I can't do it.
right.
Like it's just not something I for some reason. So I'm like, so like if you wanted Mints to go from super happy to super sad, do those eyes, the sad eyes, come out of a folder labeled sad eyes and you drag them in there as an instance? Do you pre make those things? Because like in Premiere you can make subclips where you take a snippet, right? Say this is the big file.
Yeah.
Let's pretend this is a movie of Snake Eyes. You could take this little opening section, and that's a subclip that's just referencing that file, and then have these different things that can drag in. Like,
Right.
what's that process? You know what I
Well,
mean? Like,
for like Mance, let's say he's just going from happy eyes to angry eyes. I'd have from let's say 0.3 seconds of angry eyes, and then when it goes to like 3.5, it starts to close or open, and then I'll have at 4 seconds I'll have the angry eyes, so it just looks like his eyes went from
so you'll have a folder, and all the different eye expressions will just go in that folder, and you'll just drag them down and
right, and
go
I'll
pose
just
to pose, right?
yeah, and I'll just drop them in at certain times, and then you won't notice it because it'll go so fast on the animation on the screen. But when I have it all separated in hundreds of seconds and stuff, I'll see it go from closed eyes to open eyes. And at least that's how I learned it when I did the tutorials. With all the different things, like just like moving smoke. I'll have it from the left side of the screen at 1 second, and I needed to get to the right side by 20 seconds. I'll have to space it out that time wise, and so it moves across the screen. And you saw when I first did it how it wasn't fluid, and then by the end of the tutorials, I had the smoke rolling perfectly, nice and smooth through the scene. So I'm hoping when I go to do stuff like eyes and the mouth, they'll just open, close, and go to different reactions smoothly, and you won't even notice the change other than it's a new face, new change, new arm.
Right.
So
So that means you got
that's
to go through and see what all is available in terms of the expressions I've made, right?
correct. And what I'll do is I'll have it open in most times, like I did last time with your art. I had it open in Photoshop, and you have everything listed so well that I'll look at it and see, okay, this is this name, and then I'll just pop up After Effects and I'll see where it's at, and then I'll just click and drag it over. Um, no, I got nervous explaining it because I don't want you to think, oh yeah, Brand's busted it out so far when I'm still like, okay, I have
That's
this,
not what I
this. Oh,
asked you. I didn't say when are you going to be done with it. You know what I mean? Oh,
no,
you're
no, I
fucking
know. I get nervous. I get nervous.
no shit, and then you blame me like I'm fucking acting crazy, or I'm ripping into you at
It's your
any sign of resistance. Like
it's your tone. You get it. You get the Rob tone.
you haven't heard your tone, right?
I don't want to hear my voice.
You haven't heard how you come across.
Majestic.
It's my tone. I'll be real nice to you, and you will make bad art. You know. I'm not mean, dude. I'm not. It's not fucking Whiplash here, right? Like this is not, you know, you know. I'm not
I,
throwing fucking boxes at you. It's
all right.
ridiculous.
I think tomorrow too. I'm gonna load the audio file to my phone while I'm out on the road making pickup and stuff, I'm gonna listen to it over and over again, and just kind of get a just to hear it,
Familiar, right?
right? Just so I have it in my head of where I know when a joke's coming, or I know how you really put a point across. Just to have it, so then when I go to edit, it then I'm not surprised by something. I'm not like, oh yeah, he goes from
Gives
this.
you just a little bit of respect that I could anticipate the kinds of things I was gonna do when I did the shit live, right?
Right.
Like I know I'm probably gonna say some shit like this. Like I imagine how the conversation would go, and based my impressions. And then what was crazy was Wesley was like, "Dude, I'm actually doing the thing you're like, like you like looking at me right now. Like my hands are
Oh
folded."
yeah, when he's like
Yeah.
in my room.
I'm like, no, I would just imagine that's what what you would be doing. So I drew it.
What's that called? Good foresight? Is that good foresight?
I guess you know what it was, dude. Is I've been going to security jobs with my dad since I was 8, so I've been forced to watch people a lot. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like I've people watched a whole lot. So I guess because I'm an artist, that shit sticks in your head, like how people react and shit.
See, so you knew asking me, you knew I'd freak out.
No, I don't expect the worst. I expect that at some point this guy's gonna fucking start acting normal, right? Like at some point.
I should ask that question that only crazy people ask. Well, what's normal?
The opposite of you right now. Do the complete
Right.
opposite. You like that?
Hmm. If you've enjoyed listening to Brandon, aka Let Heavy, please let Rob know in the comments below. And then someone's just gonna be like, I fucking hate that guy.
I don't know about like this, but I think longer. It definitely needs boots and shit. It's
Has
not it.
anyone ever said that in the comments that they don't like me?
No,
Oh, nice.
no, they think this is fun. People love to hear people get yelled at, dude. And like you don't listen to the Stern Show. When Gary gets yelled at by Howard for the first hour, that's the best. You have no idea, dude. Like when that starts off at the beginning of the show, when Gary fucks up the first 30 seconds, I pause it just, oh, thank you, God. Thank you. Like, this is going to be the best. Oh, I get very happy. Like, I brew the coffee. I savor every moment of it.
It makes me think
Because
of
it
like,
isn't like I'm making it. It's genuine. And I pride myself on the fact that we have genuine conversations. This isn't shtick.
yeah,
I mean, it
there's
would be
nothing.
fucking.
Yeah,
There's nothing fake about this shit.
no,
And
this
by the
is
way, I expect you to make this stuff. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But that's why we hang out because I know it's all just proving that hey, you can survive under this shit. That means you can make stuff. A lot of people wouldn't, you know,
yeah.
because quite frankly, dude, this is all temporary. At some point, there'll be none of this. It'll just be that shit was dope. You know, like that's it. Everything you did was fucking awesome. Keep doing it. Or we'll get into like, remember when you did this one thing and you'd be like, I'm best at it. That's what I used to do. Don't tell me what I used to. You'll get all fucking artiste and shit. I'm beyond that. That stuff was horrible. No, it was really cool when you did this. Oh no, I've moved beyond you. It's time to do my own thing. I know, but you get that little jokey sigh. But a couple years ago, you never thought you'd be doing this.
Oh
So
no, I knew we'd be working together. I knew it. I called it. I
I
called it.
wouldn't call this working together.
Working for you. Is that better?
That might right now, yeah.
Uh,
You got to
doing
earn
work,
the working
doing work
together.
for you.
You got to earn that. When you start bringing a little bit more to the table,
Fair enough.
you got some chance to shine here. I've made you plenty in 2 weeks, dude. In 2 weeks, I've given you a full 8-minute show. You know, a little bit less, so seven, seven. I even trimmed it down for you. Gave you a billion poses, gave you comedy, gave you artwork, gave you the training. Now you got to hook it up. You know,
Yes.
I even gave you the option to be like, "Hey Rob, that live version is awesome," but you were like, "Oh, this would be great with more poses." You know, you're right. It would be great.
Did I say that?
Yes.
Don't
It's
remember that.
amazing. I know you don't. I didn't sign myself up for this. You most certainly did. Yeah, I think, like I said, just I'll actually give him boots. I think it's important to have time to just fuck around with the character beyond just here's my roughy boom gets going. You know,
All right.
when I get into that mode, you end up with the link problem where you start making mistakes. You know, the trick is what can I add? I'm not gonna just have him standing. You know, the trick is when I'll probably give him like a Spider-Man, like how I was doing. Maybe the landscape would be kind of cool. You know,
Uh-huh.
like I was doing the landscapes. Then he could be doing like I don't know, I have to work it out, but where the swords are coming. You can get all King Bradley on you and shit. That was another one. Oh, Full Metal. Oh, it's Full Metal. Who's gonna care? Full Metal. Okay, I take it back. I mean, I knew you said it was gonna be cool. Yeah, uh-huh.
No, I mean I knew it was gonna be good. I just didn't want to spend the time watching it. And then I binge watched it, and
Didn't want to spend the time watching it, and then
then
you
I was
watched all of it at once.
yeah, and then I was bummed that it was over.
So yeah, it was only 64 episodes. It's only 30 hours of content. Man, fuck it. The hell. Wonder how I'll do that. Silhouettes help when it comes to this sort of thing. What can I add to this dude that people haven't added yet? That's what I always think. What can I do? One fucking thing that hasn't really. Right
Ninja
now, it's
stars.
just, huh? Because
Ninja
right now
stars.
it's just the same fucking thing.
How about a like a Japanese dojo in the background, like Kung Fu Master style? If you're talking about landscape, I mean, why not have him training outside of where he learned?
Hmm.
I mean, practicing his swords, standing on his swords, or whatever, some kind of crazy ninja pose you'd figure out. Maybe he's fighting one of those wood things. I don't know. was gonna say fighting other people like other, but that would just
It's come on, bro.
right,
It's
right,
one
right.
character.
I know. So that's why I said wood thing. But my contribution idea is the hilltop dojo or dojo behind him.
Maybe. I think I want to give him serrated armor. Kind of like the Dark Knight.
I know what the Dark Knight armor looks like, but what does that serrated mean?
It's serrated. It's not one piece.
So they're all
The
like
mesh underneath. It's
gotcha.
padding on top of a mesh.
So they connect with straps or brackets or
Yeah, they're on top of a mesh. There's flexibility in between the different pieces. So like this would all be mesh right here, and then these would be two separate pieces. Oh, I know actually. I should give him like lips built into his mask. That's what everyone was hoping for. Lips built into the mask. That was genius. Hmm. Something like that. Josh says he's gonna help take that fucking dude down.
nice.
Hey man, I'll take all the help I can get.
Yeah, right.
It's the one thing I've never done, dude. I don't sit there and redraw poses. Not since I was in high school. And I always gave credit when I would redraw something from a book.
Uh-huh.
I'd put Rob, you know.
After so and so.
Yeah, I learned that at Comic Con, like 92, you know.
You're old, Rob.
Oh, did you just say I'm old?
Yeah.
You think 36 is old?
No. Just busting your chops.
Some of us is gonna live to be 63.
That's fine.
One of us is gonna belong here. One of
I
us
won't.
is
I won't
gonna
be
get
around
in
to
the
see
dirt.
it.
You know, you won't. With a year you die, the very next year they'll invent the Matrix. Like, oh, missed it by like that much. he could have, he could have made it. I'll be like, perhaps if he had just not had one less Mountain Dew, maybe
You don't talk about Mountain Dew like that.
double diet Mega Dew.
Yes.
It's got half the calories for regular Mega Diet Dew. I think I'll bring those pants down lower. So he's got room to do parkour and shit. He needs ninja footwear, actually. Make sure I give him that. The ninja footwear. I think what I'll probably do too is serrate this armor in a way so that the face helmet comes forward and back.
You want my opinion, right? Like always.
Yeah, what's your opinion? I just want you to learn how to state your opinion without coming off like a fucking dick. But do tell.
Well, I like the shoe on his left foot because it looks more tactical like the rest of the armor, but also ninja-like, as where the last shoe you drew looks more uh, like those wooden shoes that they wear.
Huh?
You know the wooden shoes that you see people draw samurais on, the wooden square flat, and then the little.
Yeah. So what were you saying?
It doesn't matter.
I got people texting me while you're talking. So you were saying what? Ninja feet bad?
I like the one on his left foot.
Right, like this, like the ninja feet.
No, that's his right foot.
This one?
Yep.
That's the one from G.I. Joe Resolute. Then I'm going this way.
All right. You should make the shoe look like a snake, because he's Snake Eyes.
This is why I don't let you write the jokes.
What if I wasn't joking? Like a little snake skin on the shoe,
Yeah.
or maybe make the mesh look like snake skin, like a rattlesnake skin,
Yeah.
because he's Snake Eyes.
Yeah. So how's the animation going? Thoughts? How's it going?
There's a computer and there's stuff on it. Have you ever done a Snake Eyes commission before?
No. Don't know me draw G.I. Joe.
I know you told me this before, but I think I forgot. But if you could revive any childhood nostalgia cartoon, comic, whatever, and do it your way, which would it be?
Huh? Probably the turtles. You said any of my own. I mean, that's the only thing I really liked, dude. You know, I like. I mean, what am I gonna? I don't know.
Well,
I guess I would just make my own thing. You know what I mean? Like, I
wasn't
mean, I
knocking
can't.
your choice. I was.
I mean, but there's nothing. There's nothing at this point I can add. You know what I mean? To that. That whatever. You know?
Hasn't already been done.
Well, I guess I could, but it wouldn't really matter. You know what I mean?
Everything matters, Rob.
I don't think it would matter. I mean, I like the Beetlejuice cartoon. Just not. I don't know. I'm not the best at that. You know. I guess like as a kid, I didn't really have a lot of love for. I mean, I liked Star Wars. Like that was it, dude. And Star Wars ruined it for me. So I like the '89 Batman. I guess if I could continue to do stuff with the '89 Batman universe, that'd be kind of cool.
If
You
you
know.
drew Jar Jar Binks, do you think you could make him badass?
No, you can't make anyone badass who talks Misa something something something. You know what I mean? It wasn't a design flaw that the way he looked, whatever. It wasn't great, but it wasn't the worst design in the world. The problem is that he was a fucking moron, and he was just had no character arc. It was stupid. And he talked like Misa. I mean, come on, who talks like who would ever do that these days? You know what I mean?
Misa.
I wouldn't want to revive Mask because I don't want to draw cars. And I actually worked on something at Ape that was like a Mask GI Joe thing once, and I got to do my versions of those things in a way.
Hmm.
And I found that what I drew and what other artists drew from my stuff was like two different things. So I was like, who cares? Yeah. And what would you? I mean, what would you reboot? Like, what would it matter being in charge of something? I mean, you can't. You can't draw the comic. Even I wouldn't be able to draw a comic. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't actually produce all the art. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I don't have that fucking time or
Well, I
interest. So.
mean, obviously the Turtles is always my favorite, obviously, but um, Gargoyles, I would like to see something
But
cool
see, I
like
would
that.
just make my own thing. I made monster. You know what I mean? I can make monster just as cool as gargoyles. Like that's my
Right.
problem.
No,
Like,
I
that's
know.
my thing. Like when you
Make
say
it.
but you see what I mean? Like
But I'm looking at Snake Eyes, so I'm sticking to the topic of retro things and redesign. So that's where I was
there's
going with the
nothing I'm
conversation.
doing here that hasn't already been done. I think like this probably is like somewhere between Clement Suave and Scotty Young. And that's where I run into like this stuff when people are like draw me a snake eyes. It's like, well, I don't know what to add. Like the closest thing, only thing I could add to this that would make it uniquely mine is if it was what saucy. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. There's just so many interpretations of these dudes, and there's almost nowhere to go in terms of the design. There's not much to what they have. You know what I mean?
Wiggle room.
There's not. I mean, what are you supposed to do? Like, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
you can't do like old angry Snake Eyes where he's like 50 years old and he's been all Millerized and shit. You know?
I bet you no one's giving him snake skin armor.
His Snake Eyes strikes back, dude.
Yes. I'm a surgeon and this is my operating table.
Right.
It looks like the mutant leader.
Right. Snake Eyes. I don't know, man. This one I just learned it's not a reinvent the wheel.
Oh, what are
Like
you
when I did the
doing?
darkness,
What are you
like when
doing?
I'm erasing it. It's
No,
horrible.
leave that. Leave
No,
that
it's all
for
gone.
everyone.
It's gone forever.
That's alright. I could
It's like when I did
screenshot.
it when I drew the darkness. Like I'm not reinventing nothing. And like Royce was like, "Oh, I like it when you do like the unique." I'm like, "No, I don't like when I do unique things." Like it takes someone really like I don't do weed. You know what I mean? I don't smoke weed. I never have, never will. So I can't really think too far out the box. Like, you know what I mean? Like, some of those guys do. I'm not saying they smoke weed, but like Kaiser and those guys who can do those crazy, like,
Like
or
Batman, Badlands, and
where it's like this Batman that has like, this shit coming out. Like, you know, like I'm not, I don't fucking know, dude. It's ridiculous.
I don't even
You
know what
know,
that is.
like it's Batman. It's Batman Begins. Scotty Youngster. Look, he's gonna be just like, ooh. You know,
Wait, what? What is that?
Batman Begins, dude. Yeah,
What?
you know those crazy styles.
No, but what's that sticking up? Is that his leg?
Yeah, it's his leg. He's like perched
Oh,
up. He's perched up, right?
okay,
It's slanted because it's future technology.
right.
See, I'm not even gonna like draw buildings. It's just gonna be those lines, you know. Uh, ooh,
You're talking about Corin Kaiser Stone, right?
those kinds of guys, dude. I mean, they're good at that kind of shit, you know,
Right.
animators and stuff. Those are
Yeah.
like real character designers.
I
I'm
was
not.
I started following him because he made this like recon Batman, and it's like Batman with a ballistic vest, and
Yeah,
Robin's got a little ballistic vest. And,
I try not to look at people's stuff anymore because I don't want to be subliminally influenced. You know, when you actually start designing your own things, you run the risk of being that guy who he looks just like, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So I just don't. I look at older things and try to like, like, you know, what could I do? So instead of like, what I've tried to do is rather than try to go like full fucking, you know, because when people buy shit too, by the way, they don't want like your 100% unique version. They say they do until they get it, and like, you know, like, mm.
Right.
You know, I think like this, I can maybe make that look a little bit more like an Oculus. That'd be kind of cool,
Hmm.
you know. Like, I don't want to make sure that, you know.
Right. So everything that he sees is the whole world around him, but it looks like he just has a little slot or a little.
Yeah, maybe there's just a way to do it where it looks like it's like a piece of technology or something, you know?
Right.
Like that's
Because
something I might be able to do.
what's the point of wearing it?
Yeah, some. So he actually has 360-degree vision with it, and then uh, serrated armor.
I like following
Like the,
animators like
huh?
I like following animators like that because it doesn't influence me because I can't do those kind of crazy perspectives. Because
Well,
well,
the trick is to draw in silhouette, you know, and they've done enough of it, dude. Plus, once you start animating it, once I get on a rhythm, I can. The problem I have, dude, is you know, it just hasn't worked for me in an audience. You understand what I mean? Like, I used to do it, and like cats like Galloway and those dudes, like
mhm.
the audience agreed. Yes, we let you. You are okay to do this. And then when I would do it, it'd be like, stop, stop doing it, Rob. You know. And so I don't want to be generic, fucking, you know, the Ron Lim guy. You know, he's a good artist, but you know what I mean. So it's like I've tried to just find one or two things I can push in any particular way, and that's it. Like when I did Hal Jordan, I was big on the face, you know. I wanted to
Mhm.
have animation. I want the armor to be kind of cool, but I made certain that he had muscle tone that was more American in design than animation. You know what I mean? So that was a big deal to me. I think with this, like I'm gonna definitely add some SWAT kind of like shit here, something SWAT stuff, but maybe yeah, I might be able to work some of that kind of shit in. Like I said, I don't really know what to add. I think it'll basically just be like the Godzilla where it's a pose and then I'll paint in some kind of digi background. Yeah. It's not an unfun piece, but there's not much to it. So now lastly, what do I gotta do? I gotta fucking figure out what this Drizzt shit is. This is ridiculous. See, I can't be wasting my paper on this fucking nonsense. Waste of fucking money. Now I gotta figure out. Let me go back to this thing. You know,
All
what
right.
I think a lot of artists would end up doing in that situation. Then they open up Danger Girl and start, how did fucking Jay Scott do? You know what I mean? Like I don't. That's what I don't want to do. You know,
Right.
that's a bad idea.
I have to use the bathroom, so I'm
I
gonna
don't need
hop
to do
off.
that. Just say you'll be back in like 5 minutes.
Well, I was gonna take a shower and get my lunch ready and then get back on the computer,
That's
or
a whole
not.
different conversation. Yeah. All right, dude.
Um, thought I had something else, but
ETA.
never.
ETA, bro. When am I gonna see a first pass?
Um, soon. It
All
won't. It
right, big
won't.
brother.
It won't be. It won't be like the modeling the ships where I'm
Well, it can't take you a month, bro. We gotta get this shit
right.
out.
No, but I don't want to say like Friday and then I'm like Sunday. But I'll get it done. All right. Hit me up tomorrow.
Like,
Later.
probably too big on the eyes right there, but just trying to get a feel for how this might work. I think this one isn't going to be so thought intensive. That's gonna be an easy character. I'll get that worked out pretty easily. So, Snake Eye sketches. Let me photograph this nonsense. All right. So let me. I've got this stuff. Alrighty, so let's start to build a roughie here. Mm-hmm. Something in my head, and I'm trying to like work to it. And some nights it's more difficult to pull out than others. Yeah, there are some nights I can't decide on what I want to do. And then right at the very last second, it's like, oh, that's it. Dude, that took all night. See, it usually goes like that. It starts to make sense and doesn't make sense, doesn't make sense until it makes sense. So that's my basic silhouette. Ah. Come on. Stupid phone. What's wrong? Dude, this is ridiculous. It's just not. Time to reboot. Hmm. Alright, some reason it doesn't want to fucking upload shit, so I gotta do it the fucking old fashioned way. It's great. I don't know what FUMF means, but I'll assume it's a compliment. This Snake Eyes development's taking a lot longer than I thought. Here's a good question. When thumbnailing like this, do you have an idea beforehand, or are you just running with the flow until I find something I like? I'm just running with whatever comes across. That's why I try to like when it's a character I've never done before. That's why I try to at least just do some basic sketching. I'm not trying to get all creative and come up with wacky poses and stuff. I'm just trying to get a feel for the kind of shapes I like. I usually start with the face because the face is kind of the most important. Snake Eyes is a little tricky because the character doesn't really like have a face, so that presented some interesting challenges. So really, it does kind of come down to the attitude, you know, which is where in the silhouette, and that's why you see me doing like a bunch of like quick gestures, like just flowing through until I get a silhouette that I really like. And what I try not to do is like flip out, over. Now what I'll do is I'll just kind of come in and build the shapes right over the silhouette. And these aren't final shapes, they're just the getting it done kind of first pass. I want to take a little bit of that Metal Gear kind of Cyber Ninja approach with this, I think.
And this is just temporary shapes for like this. I'll probably do some research on like sort of some modern looking like camping gear and shit to kind of figure out what his little rucksack will sort of be. I'll get a little bit of military webbing gear and stuff like that back here. Put underneath the pads and stuff. I definitely make sure he's like, you know, skinny. Yeah, I'll use base shapes. Um, like I said, I try to use. Let me flip really quickly to my camera so I can kind of show you. Uh, oh, I'm using Microsoft. It's called the Microsoft Live Chat. Um, it's a headset with a little mic sits over my ear, but it's designed for customer service. It was like 60 bucks on Amazon. And so it's really designed for talking to people. And it's USB, so it's really nice. And because Microsoft makes it, you don't have to worry about drivers and shit. Plugs into anything. But like case in point, I can show you really quick on my Facebook. Like, see, like I do this pencil sketching, which is what I was doing earlier, just to get a feel for shapes, like face shapes and stuff like that, and then maybe an early body type, you know. And if I wanted to do just a straight pose, then that sort of thing would work. Um, but then when I come in and I find the shapes, the silhouette I want to use, and I sort of build my design through that, you know. Oh no, I definitely still use traditional. Like, matter of fact, this is going to be colored coat with Copics. So, um, like I said, I do traditional and digital. This will be a mixture. The final will be a mixture. I can show you like the last. Oh, that's another character I got to draw. Um, Like it'll look something kind of like this when it's done. So I'll go from the drawing to this, which is all this is all Copic colors, traditionally colored, and then I'll scan it in and add digital lighting and additional painting on top digitally. So the commission includes the pencils with the inks and all that stuff, the Copics, and then a print. Like, do I have? I don't think I ever put the lines, but you can say do the same thing like here with Hal Jordan. You see the lines, so they tend to look like this before I color them. Same with the Mononoke. I did like this is Copics with digital background and digital lighting on top. But yeah, you can still see like pencil sketching. This is actually a pencil sketch that I colored straight over just the pencils. That's just digital though. Yeah. Then this is all digital. So now what I'm gonna do is just kind of work out a color thing and maybe mess with somebody. I'll probably squeeze his head in a little bit. And when it comes to the commissions, I always try to do my initial exploratory stuff traditionally. If it's like my own quick prints, I can concept out in color and move forward. But I want to make sure I'm giving my best for the commissions and stuff. No, it's all right. Am I self-taught or did I take classes? I'm self-taught, although I did go to art college. But I kind of ended up doing like video and a lot of 3D and not much drawing. About about a year of drawing, but nothing that helped, you know. I did some 2D animation, like hand drawn, and that was interesting. I mean, it helped in that it pushed me to draw a lot, but I didn't actually really get better until after college. I'd say around 2009, 2010. Between 2008, 2011 is when I really started perfecting all this stuff, freelancing, and I was working at game magazines and stuff like that. So I save all the steps. Yeah, anyone can talk or chat or anything. It's all right. I don't have a problem. I'll only be a little mean to Brandon because he asked me questions that he shouldn't. He knows better. See, when you're in a studio working with someone like he is with me, you can't ask the same stupid question 50 times. But all you folks, you guys are cool. Someone just posted on the YouTube that I'm an ass. That's awesome. Only to my friends. I'm the bestest to complete strangers. Subtitles well. So what advice would you give someone wanting to draw for a living just starting out? Well, for a living is tough. Um, I have done it. It's pretty difficult. My day job really is more graphic design, like the T-shirts you see at Walmart for like the Avengers movies and shit like that. I do that. So illustrating for a living's tough. There's not a lot of places you can do it unless you're in, say, concept art and games, which is extremely difficult to get into, or freelancing for comic books, which again is really tough. What I would recommend doing is making sure you have a job that pays your bills and getting used to like really consistently working every night for at least 3 or 4 hours, and hyper focus. As for gaining a following, what I've managed to do, and I don't have much, about 10 years now, and I don't have that big a following. But what I have tried to do is just make myself pretty available. So like I got a DeviantArt that I can then repost on the Tumblr, repost on the Pinterest, repost on the Instagram, you know, uh, post into the Twitter, the Facebook, you know. And now I got this. The Hangouts goes right into my YouTube. So this all streams right into my YouTube. So I can have daily videos, if I want, every day of just me drawing or talking. So instead of live streaming, it goes on to the YouTube channel. And so to me, like that's not like trying to gain overnight success. That's like just long term, like that's going to be there as long as there's a YouTube, you know. And then me producing my own projects through Kickstarters actually helped me with a little bit more fame on the internet than any of my professional projects, like when I was working on indie comics or when I was at Play Magazine or Game Fan and stuff like that. Uh, I find that working for people means that you not allowed to talk about anything until it's done, and then it gets buried in a sea of published material. You know, so I did that up consistently up until about a year or two ago, and I've since quit freelancing because I just can't deal with having all my projects buried, canceled, or sort of just they come and go. So you get to figure out like where you're comfortable producing. I think you know I'm not comfortable producing like 20 pages of pencils for comic books all the time. So, but what I have done like especially with the commissions, like when I first started doing commissions, I did them for $10 plus shipping. So it was like $5, $15. And what I started doing was just drawing stuff, and I at first I just said they were sold. Hey, I did a commission. I did a commission, and after about a day of that, um, I'd get 3 or 4 people wanting a commission, and because they were $10, I didn't have to draw them super perfect. You know what I mean? And so because I had the free time, I didn't have a day job. I had a day job, but it wasn't paying me much, like a game fan. So I would allot 3 or 4 hours a day to drawing 2 or 3 commissions, super quick. And I net 30, $40 a day, just so that would go into the 200, 250 a week pile, and then I would just sort of go, oh, this one was $20, now they're up to 40. And then when I went to Kickstarter, I was able to, well, before that, then I would have versions that are super detailed. I make those available for 100, and some people would get those. And then when I go to Kickstarter, I put them up for, what I really thought they were worth. But, the more detailed Copics with all this other stuff, which is closer to 350, 400, you know? So, I think it's just, it's time in, and it's, putting your best foot forward on terms of quality and effort, you know? And I don't like, I really try not to be one of those guys that's like, this is worth this, so pay me that. I think it's more like, if I'm not known and I kind of want to just do a lot of stuff, then I'll come down on some prices. But the traditional art's the only way to sell commissions. And that's how I started really making a fan base, was being able to physically ship stuff to people. But digitally, it's great because you can set it up. So I've tried to set up a situation where I'm working traditionally and digitally all the time. Like all the time. Like there's nothing about this process that can't be 100% digital. Like this is me drawn and colored 100% digital. But these were Copic commissions that I've added digital lighting and coloring. So, like here's the Copic, and then here's the print. So trying to just sort of merge all that, plus offering different things like the watercolors and stuff. Did that just post to fucking Facebook? That took forever. I also did a podcast up until about a month ago for 4 years. Um, that sort of chronicled my career. It's still there, like the who I am, like my Rob. I call it Rob FAQ. Is still there. If you go to Sketchcraft, sketchcraft.net, the .com will take you to my YouTube channel, but the .net will take you to the podcast page. And I left up a Rob FAQ, kind of walks you through my sorry ass career, pain and suffering, all that nonsense. I think my favorite experience so far, and I say that as passively aggressive as I can, is everyone told me if I just submitted my stuff to Imagine FX, that would be the ticket. I'll get, everyone will know who I am, and da 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 da. So I finally did it. I was like, it's not gonna matter, it's not gonna matter. So I send some stuff in, and lo and behold, I got Artist of the Month, Imagine FX. I was like, that's awesome. And they're like, you hear some books, once you do some tutorials, and it just was like the most worst experience I think I've ever had. Like I never got paid. The fucking art was horrible, you know. No one still knows who I am. Didn't change anything, you know. But it's a nice little trophy to have, I guess. You know. All right. Let's do a color roughy on this. So now what I'll do, he's fucking black and white, so I don't really know what I can really add to this. And I gotta tell you, dude, doing a lot of darks on Copics is a real pain in the ass. It's gonna get super sticky. So yeah, my whole reason for never submitting to them, and I really hate the fact that artists have to use the word submit when it comes to presenting their artwork. I don't know. Something about that word submit. I mean, it's definitely fitting, but it's like I would always say, I don't think what I do fits in that magazine. I mean, like it's a lot of digital painting, and even my digital art doesn't really look like that. And I don't know, but I mean, I was a fan. It's like, and people are like, oh, nonsense. So when I got the fucking artist of the month thing, I was like, hey, that's cool, because I don't really draw like they normally do. And then they asked me to do this, these tutorials, and it's like nothing of what I did made any sense, and didn't like any of it. And one of them like got really mad at me. She was like, "What is this?" And like to the point where like they started like I agreed to do one more, and then I got this whole like fucking spiel about like they gave me a list of things I had to have in the art, like how it was supposed to look and stuff. And I was like, I just don't think I fit, you know? Speed up your process. Well, what are you getting stuck on? Just drawing or coming up with an idea? You know? Like where are you spending all your time? Like I try to allot this much, like all my time on the draw. Like I do this roughy thing so that all my real drawing time is spent in the actual drawing of it, not in the development. So case in point, you ever see someone that has like really great sketches, but then the final looks kind of bland and generic? And it's like, wow, if I wish all that energy and effort that was put into the sketch was actually in the real drawing. Because you have to sort of look at like where are you spending. If you're spending 5 or 7 hours trying to get a face right, you know, and then another 2 hours getting everything else done, then I don't know if that's such a bad thing as long as the face came out all right. But if it's taking you 5 or 7 hours to get to like where I'm at here, I mean that's a problem. You know? Well, yeah, 60 hours on one piece. I just don't see the point. You know, I'd start figuring out like, Yeah. Maybe your stuff could do with like half the detail. Because if it's something that no one's picking up on, there's that too. Like how much of what you're doing really. It doesn't take me 60 hours to watercolor, and I'm no genius at that. So Uh, let me tell you something, man. This is my opinion. I only use Photoshop for one reason. Every place I've ever worked had Photoshop. They didn't have Painter, they didn't have Sci, and they all have Photoshop. So I just stick with it. You know, it doesn't matter. It really, when it comes to the software, it just matters of speed. You know, no one program's gonna do everything you want it to. If you really like want a watercolor look, just scan in some watercolor and add it as textures. You know, people go, oh, you can do the watercolor in Painter. If you want smooth stuff in Photoshop, like Painter has, just use a blending brush. It's really not that difficult. I've achieved every look there is out there using just Photoshop. From hand drawn looking pencils to watercolory looking stuff to Hung Tai Kim looking stuff. You know, but 50 to 60 hours a piece. I mean, you're better off just painting, dude. That way you could sell it for $1,000. Digital art that takes 60 hours, unless it's for a movie, there's no point. Like you're just gonna drive yourself nuts, really. And that's unfair to you, you know? That's good enough for a roughie. Yeah, I just think, like I said, if you're spending 60 hours in a piece, it may as well be like Drizzt Struzan size. You know what I mean? So you could sell it. The most I've ever spent on one piece was, I think it was close to 30 hours, but that was a monster digital piece like that. And it was for its cover art, so like there was like 5 grand involved, you know? So it was still less than a week's worth of effort, but it was a lot of characters and approvals had to be made by multiple studios. So usually it falls between the 18 to 22 hours for really intricate cover work. And we're talking like 8 or 9 characters plus props and everything else. Yeah, that's impo dude. Okay. Oh my goodness. Poor you. So here's the thing. Long as your images are a minimum of 4,000 pixels by whatever other dimension that comes out to, it's usually, if it's rectangular, it's 4,000 by 6,000 pixels. Long as you're 4,000 by 6,000 pixels, dude, you're good. You'll be able to scale it to any size you need to ever. I made a video on how to do that, by the way, on the YouTube channel. So there is no reason on God's green earth you need to go above that for anything ever. I've done convention booth materials, everything. That's overkill. You don't. You're not even gonna have a printer that can rip 10,000 pixels wide, dude. You know. Like when I'm doing comic book work, I would draw at 6 by 10, 400 DPI, where I draw at 600 DPI, which would take me about the 7,000 pixel range when I'm drawing. But that's because I like my digital pencils to look like ink, and then I'd scale it to 400 DPI, would take me back down to the 4,000 by 6,000 pixel range. And I would color actually at 150, and then scale the colors back up and replace it with the high res line art. So you can color at half the resolution. You can color at 200 DPI or 2000 by 3000 pixels. But when you scale it back up, just put the high res line arts over that for the final piece. And then you're good to go. Yeah, the video that I was talking about, it's on the YouTube channel on tips and tricks. I have a playlist called Tips and Tricks. That's where that would be. Yeah, don't kill yourself, you know? Because nobody has it. I mean, yeah, there's no point to that. Because the more pixels you have, just imagine it's a bigger canvas, you know? So it's like trying to draw you're essentially drawing like 13 feet wide. You know what I mean? Like by 22 feet, something, something, it's 1 o'clock. Well, I got this roughie done. I can try and get the Drizzt. I have another one I have to sort of quickly lay out. Yeah, I'd cut that down big time. Really isn't helping because that's beyond overkill. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for hanging out. Can you jump? I don't follow. You're welcome to jump in, sure. That's a good first roughie. Uh-huh. Drizzt. Think that'll do it. And I think that'll do it, folks. I'm going to get some sleep. I'll be back on tomorrow night or the night after. Well, I'll be back on tomorrow night. I got to work on Game Cave. So, till then, bye.